Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another video for the Disney Save. Today we're going to be touring my newest world that is just newly finished and is added into the save file with a brand new patch and update called the Disney Save 2.1. If you're not familiar with my save file, really quick, I am doing a complete overhaul of all of the Sims 4 worlds, households, everything in between, and making it completely Disney themed. If you want to see a lot more, you can go to my other video. It is a massive tour video for all of my other Sims 4 worlds that I have finished, including Willow Creek, Henford-on-Bagley, Mount Komorebi, Moonwood Mill, Sulani. I have done 7 worlds total, and Tartosa today adds 8. Every single one of those worlds takes a bunch of Disney movies and rethemes all of the lots based on them. Tartosa today is actually based on Hercules, Luca, and Atlantis, the newest additions to the save. So I'll be touring all of the new households and new builds and things to showcase everything for you guys today. This is a custom content and mod-free save file, but it does use all packs. That includes kits as well. I pretty much own everything for The Sims, and I'm constantly updating with all of the new stuff that comes out. So keep that in mind when you go to download. My save file is available for download over on my Patreon, but you do not have to be a patron to download. It is completely free. It'll be linked in the comment section down below as well as in the description box so that you can go over and check it out. If you want to support me on Patreon, I do offer exclusive perks, early access, works in progress. I have a private Discord where we sort of plan the save file, and a lot of my patrons really highly contribute to the project. So if you want to be a part of the process, I super encourage you to check that out, and also it means a lot to support the save file and all the work that goes into it. So thank you to anyone who is interested. Without further ado, let's get into today's tour of Tartosa, starting first with, I would say, one of the bigger families here. Not like big in size, but more important than a lot of the other ones that are here. We have the Hercules household. This includes Hercules, Meg, Phil, and Pegasus, and they live in a mansion based on the first film. So let's go check that out. Here is my Hercules Mansion, and this is called 12 Labors, based on Hercules' 12 Labors to Godhood. It is an absolutely massive mansion. It's based on the film, but I did do a good bit of research into like ancient Greek architecture to try and match some of the things and get things correct, especially for the interior and sort of the things that we don't get to see as much of in the movie. To check out our little household first here, they are in the basement. We have a built-in gym down here for them to do lots of exercising, and they're usually down here quite a bit, doing some training. Meg likes to swim. Not quite sure if that fits in with her personality, but in my save file, she certainly gravitates towards the pool. And they have a whole little gym going on down here, built-in pool. If I had more room for this lot, they would have gotten like a bathhouse and everything. Like, this is meant to be a very extravagant household. But this is definitely, I feel like, enough for what we have with the space here. And this is like one of my favorite houses architecturally. Like, I just think it's so unique and fun. I love the bathroom. I love their kitchen. I spent a lot of time trying to find like good references and good art for what the potential of these sort of spaces would have looked like back in the time that this takes place. So given what we have in like the catalog and things, I try to match a lot of that and make it look as good as possible without like a medieval pack or anything that kind of like would help me out. As far as the other floors go, this floor is like the main living space just above, and it is based on the scene from the film when Hercules is getting his portrait done so that they can paint it onto these little vases. And since we can't do that, I just put in the painting easel here. And there's also a moment where Meg sits in front of like a little lounging area and a table that has lots of memorabilia that is based on Hercules because he's kind of becoming famous and they're making like all sorts of stuff based off of him. So there's some little Easter eggs inside the build itself for like the actual movie. The bedrooms, very luxurious. Had to come up with this kind of on my own. But again, just using like loungy sort of spaces, candles, open flames. We've got some cool fireplaces with the built-in statues and stuff. This is Phil's room. The only real difference between the bedrooms is like, you can tell this is Phil's room because of the trophies. He is like a famous instructor, or he's supposed to be a famous instructor. I love the open bathrooms. I love the water. This is Meg and Hercules' room. Very simple. kind of similar, but I did put some like purple flowers because I feel like that would be totally something that Hercules would go pick for Meg, that kind of a deal. And then of course off to the side here we have Pegasus and his little barn. Kind of luxurious for him as well. It's like a bigger barn for the fact that they only have one horse. One thing that did really irritate me is that when you make horses, you don't have the option to do like a darker blue mane color for him, so he doesn't look 100% accurate, but with a little custom content he could definitely be helped out. Like I mentioned, I don't use it for the save. I'm trying to make it as accessible as possible, but that's kind of why he looks that way. These two are really cute. They're just sort of starting out their relationship. I believe they're just barely boyfriend and girlfriend, so you can kind of play out their romance. Obviously, it doesn't make complete sense that Meg would be living here, but I just thought the household was too small and I wanted them to be under one roof. Maybe she moved in after the events of the movie, kind of a deal. They're really cute together. I'm excited for the opportunity to be able to play with them. As far as Hercules goes, he has a custom career. This is something that I implement pretty regularly in the save file. So if you don't put in careers, like if people just don't have a job, the game will end up spawning them in different locations around the save. So you'll get randomly like Hercules as the bartender, which we don't want. So I do give all of them careers, especially if we don't have something that really fits perfectly. I will make something custom. So Demigod is Hercules' career, and it is also shared by Maui. They're the two demigods of the save. They're not exactly magical, like they're not spellcasters, they don't have spellcasting abilities, but what they do have is a lot of buffed up traits that make them a little bit stronger than your normal average sim. So he's got like the immortality, the physically gifted, brave, beloved. He's got like some extra traits to make him, I guess, just like a little bit stronger. I also put in all of their life stuff, their social stuff. All of this is added in, so it like really adds into their story. Anything that makes sense, sentiments, lifestyles, things that I can put in that really are in line with their character, I will add. He is a famous sim because that's kind of like part of the movie. And then Phil is also a famous sim, but Phil is a spellcaster because he is shown to do like transformation and stuff like that. He has a custom career called Guardian Spirit. This is shared by Mushu in the save, and as you can read, it's sort of like a special magical sim that serves for a non-magical sim. So him and Mushu are both magical spirits. He could have been like a famous instructor, but that wasn't really like a job or a career. And I encourage people to change things. If you like download the save and you're like, yeah, I don't really like that, that doesn't make much sense to me, or I think it would be really fun to add them into this career or whatever, change it. It's absolutely totally encouraged to play it how you would want to anyway. I'm going to have someone go outside and give some attention to poor Pegasus over here because he seems really miserable. Pegasus also has like traits and things. You can't see them because there's no like dialogue option to like check out what a horse has got going on. But I promise you, I give all of them like proper things inside of their statistics and stuff. So you'll notice it when you do gameplay. Additionally, as you can see in Hercules' friends, we're going to be going to visit some of these guys later because they actually live on Mount Olympus, which is another one of the builds in today's video. And we've got like Hephaestus, Aphrodite, Poseidon, Ares, his parents, Zeus and Hera. He also knows all of the muses. They are townies in this world. And his adoptive family is here as well. Hades, who has long time been a member of the save file, he lives in a different world. I have normal clubs in the save. They're like actual clubs, the way they're meant to function, like the Lost Boys from Peter Pan, for example, over in Sulani. But this is a movie club. It's really just all of the main characters from any given film. And the idea is that if you needed to summon a lot of the same characters from a movie very quickly, you could do so. You hit the start gathering button and then all of these guys will show up so that you can get them all together very quick. Now, there's a lot of Hercules characters in the save, like literally tons. So I couldn't fit them all in here, but I felt like these were the main guys and gals. And And one other thing that I do put in is genealogy. So not for Meg, for Hercules, this is going to look a little bit funny, and I'll try to explain some of this when we go over to Mount Olympus a little bit, because the game doesn't exactly love registering all siblings like correctly as far as like half siblings and step siblings. It didn't do it 100% perfect when I put in the genealogy, but it looks better from the Mount Olympus side when we go and check it out. But as you can see, he's got his 2 parents here, and then some of the other characters that live on Mount Olympus that are either full siblings or not, depending on how they fit into the household. They will actually be the next ones that we go to check out. One of the lot traits for this lot is that I think it's one of the like movie stop ones, or it's like a famous lot. So people tend to gather out front here and get really excited. It's like the paparazzi scene from the movie. A lot of the people are trying to climb over the gate. Moving on to our next household. We're going to go over to Mount Olympus and check out all of the new magical sims added to the save. Here we have it, this giant floating castle in the sky. This is definitely my big build of this world. I'm very excited with how this turned out and all of the sims that live here. We have Aphrodite, Hera, Hermes, Athena, Poseidon, Hephaestus, Ares, and Zeus. These are all that would fit here, but there are more gods in the save. They're a part of a townie household called More Gods. So we have the gods of Olympus, and then we have more gods of Olympus. Apollo, Persephone, Dionysus, and Demeter are part of this household. They're all sort of interconnected, related. Some of them are just friends. I did do my very best to untangle the mess of the different dynamics of the genealogy between the Greek gods. Mostly because Disney definitely would have unwound that if they needed to. They would have like untangled the mess, but also because the Sims just won't allow it, right? So I had to kind of like redo some of the genealogy, but I think I did it in a way that really makes a lot of sense and still keeps a lot of characters relevant without making it super inappropriate. This is my Mount Olympus. It is very much like based on the movie, but not 100% recreation of what is shown in the film, just because I feel like that would have been impossible to do and have it super functional and make all the bedrooms and things like that. But it still floats. It has this whole downstairs portion with like an underneath pond. The idea would be that like you could go down here and have somebody try to discover Olympus by going across the pond or swimming in it. There is a tunnel down here, and there is a portal that gets you up into Olympus. So if you are a magical sim, you could just sort of teleport up there, but if you're a non-magical sim and you need another way to get into Olympus, there are portals that you can do so. We got Miss Aphrodite down here doing absolutely nothing. I'm going to tell her to come up and hang out with everybody else. And then, yeah, this is a huge lot. There's so much to do here. There's so much to see. One of my favorite parts is this massive dining room that I did for all of them, with all of like their given colors from the film mixed in on the floor and the decor and things. And the idea is that they could come have like big meetings here and arguments and whatever else they want to do. There's so many chairs for all of the different Greek gods, both the ones that live here and the ones that don't, because obviously they're considered gods as well, so they'll come and visit. And then you have the muses, who in some versions of some stories are also considered to be like full gods or partial gods, so they could come hang out here as well. They definitely know the other characters. Apollo is friends with the muses in a lot of retellings of various stories. There's places to swim. They love this little waterfall area over here. A lot of them will spend time here. There is a bathhouse with floating lights and candles. Lots of water around, lots of loungy places. You do not have to worry about needs with this household very much. A lot of them are set up to be really buffed out. They do not ever like need to sleep or eat. They don't really need to worry about like taking care of them in the traditional sort of way with other Sims. So they're all equipped with special traits that make sense for their character, but also make sense because it helps them feel more like gods in a way. They're also all spellcasters. They each have things that are unlocked in their books that make sense for them. So most of them are top-ranked spellcasters because they're gods. I feel like that makes the most sense. But when you go to their actual, like, spell books to see what spells they know and what things they are working on or what things they know, they are not all the same. So I tried to base it on known powers for each of the gods and just things that make sense. All of them can do transportalate so that they can kind of, like, pop around here and there. All of them can go to the magic realm. But then, for example, Aphrodite's spellbook here, she has infatuate. That makes sense for her. She has minimize, which is like being able to control another sim's mind and carry out your will. That makes sense for her as well. And then potions, like potion of good fortune, potion of alluring aura. So just stuff that I felt like was appropriate for each of them. Just to show another example real quick, we'll go to Zeus, who has more than some of the other ones because he's supposed to be like all powerful. He can like make food, he can copy things. He of course has Zip Zap or whatever it's called. Right here, Zip Zap, harness electrical energy and give someone a jolt. That totally makes sense for him. And then he knows like some potions to be able to transform people, good auras, turn other people immortal, those sorts of things. So they're all very like customly designed, especially with their traits. Heat-proof, ice-proof, full forever, all of that good stuff. So you could play them like as Greek gods. You could have this be a totally chaotic, messy sort of household, or you don't have to. It's completely up to you. You can do it on the film or do it a little bit more in like the traditional sense of Greek godhood. This scene up here where they have little Hercules debut as a baby and all of the gifts are here next to the bassinet and things. I wanted to have that as a little shout out to the movie because it is one of the few things that is shown on Mount Olympus. But other than that, they all have bedrooms. This one right here is Zeus and Hera's room. Very decked out in the gold, the lightning, the suns. Somebody mentioned to me that Hera's icon is a peacock, which I did not know. So she has some of that in here as reference to her as well. They're the only two that share a bedroom. The rest of them live down here in these very themed bedrooms that are supposed to be like little portals to each of their own worlds. Like it just feels like each of them is such a new dimension. All of their personal interests and things going on. This is obviously Aphrodite's room. It's pink, it's decked out, it's girly, it's got candles, it's got jewelry, it has its own bathtub, and she has references a lot to like seashells, clams, mermaids, that sort of thing. So I wanted to put some like kind of references for her in here to that. She is the goddess of love. They all have custom careers as well here that are based on what their godhood is about. So you can see goddess of love, god of the artisans, god of travel, goddess of marriage. There's so many things that each of them are gods based on too, so there was like choices. So doing travel for Hermes, like that's one of his options, right? I could have picked a few other ones, so it wasn't ignored if you feel like, oh well, he's the god of something else. Yeah, he is. So they're all gods of multiple things. This is just what I went with to keep it streamlined. Then we have Hephaestus's room. He is the keeper of the Great Forge. He's got lots of skills and interests in like gemology. He would also be really like particularly good at woodworking, spellcasting. I really love his room. Hermes and Aphrodite are married in my save, but she also has some romance going on with Ares. It's a little bit messy here. And then next door, we have Athena. She is the, like, all-powerful goddess of wisdom, goddess of everything. She's good at everything. She's highly skilled. Painting, astronomy, reading, studying, spellcasting. She's good at literally everything. Where is she right now? Let's bring her here. I want to just show you her real quick because she has a special little feature. Oh, she was swimming. Oopsie. Athena has a familiar. I do not put these in too often, so whenever I finally pick one for a given sim, it's kind of a big deal. The other ones that have them, I think, are Maleficent, and Mama Odie also has one. She gets the owl. That's one of her like symbols. Athena is often associated with owls, and apparently her owl even has a name, so I went and searched that up and named him appropriately. So he's kind of cool. I always love putting these in. I think they're like something that gets overlooked in The Sims a lot and forgotten about. And he follows her around. Hermes, since he lives right next door, so we'll go over in a second here. But since he is the god of travel, I wanted him to be like on the go, energetic, always wanting to get out of here, traveling the world, taking things from various cultures and places that he goes to. So he has, if I can find it here, the lifestyle sentiment frequent traveler, always wanting to go, be out of the house. He's also a little bit of a gossip, and he's kind of nosy. He will want information from everybody, and he wants to like go and get the gossip and trade gossip with other people. I love his room. It's personally my favorite. It's light and airy. It has lots of references to clouds and the sky. I also thought that because he's like a god that would definitely fly, he would have to have a broom. So I did give him his little broom. The doors are supposed to be locked down here so that each sim can only go into their given world. So if you're having issues when you play of sims like not being able to go around, that's why I locked the doors, because I felt like they were using each other's rooms like a little bit too often in my opinion. But you can unlock them if it is bothering you at all. Next door we have Poseidon. He's got his own private pool. His room is supposed to feel like kind of underwater, but also it's not. So we've got some elements of like bubbles and a fish tank, things like that. Lots of like, I don't know, it's mermaid-esque. It's got that look to it that's very reminiscent of my King Triton's castle, Atlantica. If you haven't seen that, it's in the Sulani tour video or the big world tour video. I've done lots of Little Mermaid. And he is the only one that is not a spellcaster. Poseidon is a mermaid. I felt like that was the most appropriate choice for him. You can see him taking a little nap in his bathroom, or in his little pool here. I guess Sims just gravitate towards pools in general because a lot of the other Sims like to come in here, which is why I ended up locking the doors. They wanted to come in and hang out, but I don't know. I just didn't like it very much. I think each of their rooms would be like very much for them. And most of them probably wouldn't want visitors with the exception of maybe Aphrodite. And then the last one, who's already in his room doing some practicing, we have Ares, the god of war. He's grumpy. He's not the most friendly. He's strategic. He likes chess. He likes debate. He likes to start arguments. We love him. His room is very overwhelming. It's definitely not my favorite, but I think that he would love it. I also don't think he would be here very often. I think he would be off causing trouble and problems, which is kind of the vibe of the household, if I'm honest. And yeah, I tried to put in a little bit of like each of them having some dynamics with each other, because they're obviously all very familiar with one another, but in different ways, I feel like. And now we have, just to take a peek, so I can explain this really quickly, the genealogy is broken up in two ways. We have Hera's side of the family and Zeus's side of the family. Then Zeus and Hera married, and they each created children together, or children that were just like their side and then the other side. So Zeus has 3 brothers, and that is Hades and Poseidon, as you would know. He's married to Hera, and then Hera has children of her own, and Zeus has children of his own that they did not have together, and then they have children that they have had together. So this is, I believe, how it is supposed to look. Both of them had Hercules, according to the film. That's how I'm basing it on. I know that that's not true to like Greek mythology, but this is how we're doing it for the save file because of Disney. And then both of them had Ares. So these two are full siblings. Now, if you go to Hera's genealogy real quick, she has some sisters now. So Hestia and Demeter are her sisters. The same way that he has 3 brothers, she has sisters. She has a son, Hephaestus, that's just her son. So that would be a half sibling to Hercules, for example. Going back to Zeus real quick, he has a lot of children that are just his, including Apollo and Artemis. They are twins. And then we have Dionysus and we have Athena. Those are based on different myths. People argued with me and got really mad. Like, I got some really nasty comments about this when I did the Greek god videos. Please do not yell at me. This is based on Disney, and I know the myths. I'm just doing the best that I can. If we go back to Hera real quick, something else I want to point out, since Demeter is not here today, she is a townie. She has Persephone as her daughter, and that makes Hestia her aunt and Hera her aunt. And the thought was that I was trying to remove Persephone and Hades as far as I possibly could, because they do have like a canon romance in Greek mythology. So she's like technically married in. It's as distant as I could do. I hope that that makes sense. If you have questions, ask me below. I will try my best to answer them, but I think that for the most part, I got it without it being too messy. As like a side note, Aphrodite and Hermes are just completely unrelated from the rest of the household. And I felt like they were the two that I could pull out, and it made the most sense. And it makes things less messy with romances like Aphrodite with Hephaestus and Ares. It just demessifies it a little bit. There's only two other things I want to say about this law, and they're just like little mechanical issues. So as you'll notice, there is a third level to this back tower here, and I had to kind of glitch this. It's like a building technique or whatever. The roof is sort of slid on top, so the only way you can look into this space and like properly utilize it is by putting the roofs down. There's just no other way, because if you hit the down, it's just going to go to the bottom floor or the next floor underneath it. So just put the roofs down and you are able to access that floor like that. This is a party space. It's a little bit of like an outdoor patio, and it's got a bar. I can imagine a lot of them coming up here to throw little get-togethers. Lastly, but definitely not least, and I want to just like pre-apologize because this is frustrating, but as you can see, there's like these circular towers on either side of the build here. The game really hates circles, and it really, as much as it's been put in as like a function, we as builders all know that the game does not want them to be utilized, and for this it was very frustrating to even get this to appear as it is. It's pretty though, like there's these little like garden areas. Unfortunately, the game is having like a tiling issue with these areas, so your Sims can't walk over here. I've tried everything to fix it. I really don't know what's wrong. I think it's the game. I don't think it's my build. I think it's the game. It's not a surprise to me that this doesn't work because it just sometimes will break. I've built entire things before and have them work perfectly, and then patches come out and that it just stops working. So for now, I'm leaving it, but if you notice that your Sims are not able to get over to these two areas, I'm sorry, but it's just something that's going on with the game right now. That is Mount Olympus, the chaos, the big household, the magic of it all floating in the sky. Let's move on. I'm actually going to borrow Hercules real quick, and we're going to go over with Pegasus to one of the other Hercules community lots that we have today. There is these two residentials, and then I have three technically Hercules community lots. The first one over here is called Zero to Hero. It's a gym. It's based on Hercules' gym performing arena in the film where he's shown training, and it's a replica of that, but it's also kind of like a bigger barn area for Pegasus. There are areas for him to exercise, so the idea is that you could come here and work out and exercise. There are some spas and some hot tubs and things to relax, but you can also bring horses here to kind of up their skills and endurances and things like that. Here we have Zero to Hero. It's supposed to be designed like it's an arena, so it has an indoor and outdoor section depending on weather for you to do some exercising. There's also stairs, so like theoretically it looks like an arena, right? Like you could come here and watch an event or something, but it's primarily where Hercules trains. I have things that are both functional and non-functional, like these rings and this pole vault that is shown in the movie, but they don't work obviously, but then like other training equipment definitely will. You've got some outdoor equipment here that you can use. The majority of the gym is on the inside, where we'll have some other random Sims I'm sure popping up to come and do some exercising. It has like an outdoor bathing section. Sims do get a little bit embarrassed using this, but I think it's just sort of the nature of like the time period of this film that this is how it was. So I wanted to bring that into the build. It's not a huge deal, like your Sims will get over it. And then there's a little hot tub that they can relax in. This is RC Speed. He's from Toy Story. He's another one of my Disney save characters. I think this is one of my characters as well. Andrina. So she is one of Ariel's sisters. I do give them all custom outfits and things that are like appropriate for what they're wearing, so that, you know, like my fear is when you come to the gym that you will run into these random characters on the lot and they would be wearing something really funky. So I do give them all outfits that make sense, kind of theme them based on their character, but still look right for the environment that they would be wearing that clothing in. And then we have the huge barn over here for horses to come relax. In the movie, they have referenced that Pegasus has a big barn at Hercules Stadium. So he gets his like awards put all on the wall here, his trophies from all of his work that he's been doing. And then outside here is actually the training area and some grazing grass and those sorts of things. Pegasus can get around here too. Some people were worried when I built this place that it wouldn't be super accessible to horses, but it is. They can go in and out of these archways here. He can come in the middle. He can get into the barn to relax if he needs to and get some food. And as you can see in function over here with the outdoor bathing area, I just really like it. I think it makes the lot kind of unique. I'm going to send them home real quick because we're going to take Meg and Hercules to the next community space. It's called It's Okay, You're in Love, and it's based on Meg's big singing moment from the film. It's a garden, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's definitely my favorite for the world in terms of community lots. Here we have the garden. It's Okay, You're in Love. This is actually a wedding venue. There are so many references here to Meg, the Muses, pretty much every major moment you can remember from her song, her dancing across the stones, her going to Aphrodite's statue and Aphrodite's fountains, the Muses kind of being around during the song and popping up in and out of the statues. It's all referenced here. I spent a lot of time on the details in this place, and it's supposed to be primarily like a wedding venue, but you could come here for other reasons. It's obviously beautiful. Tons of Sims spawn here. I have seen so many popping around here and there. Here's Ariel. Here's Mushu. So you could come here for picnics, just generally like hanging out for scene reasons and storytelling. And then there is the option to do your wedding indoors or outdoors. So my thought is that you could put the arch here. If you wanted to do an outdoor wedding, it's meant to set up like right in front of this. But the inside is already set up and ready to go for a wedding if you wanted to use it. Be a little bit smaller as far as the seating goes, but sometimes doing too big of a wedding isn't really super functional anyway. So we've got this beautiful indoor space. There is an area downstairs for your wedding party to not destroy the floor, but get ready. Nice and clean, whites, light colors, lots of little statues and architecture around here and there. Thing about this lot is it is actually a replacement lot option. So if you wanted a different wedding venue, you have another choice here. I call these replacement lots. They're just like secondary choices for the same exact lot that you can place down and use something a little bit different if you get bored with that one or you don't like it for some reason. And the other one that can go here is called the Elysian Fields. It's based on the birthplace of the gods. It's like an actual location, but it's also a reference to Fantasia. It gets shown in one of the songs from the film. And it has all of the different little mystical animals kind of like dancing around in the colorful fields and pink bushes and rainbow flowers. It's absolutely beautiful. And it also makes reference to Greek mythology. Dionysus and Zeus are both in that number from Fantasia. So it made for a really, really good second option to go here. There's a waterfall in that scene that looks very, very similar to one that we have here in Tartosa. So it just totally fit the vibes. It goes over here. This area over here, I believe, looks so much like the movie. So to have it come and be an option for putting it here instead is a choice. You can download that on the gallery exclusively, and I have lots of other things that you can download, obviously. Some other things that we'll be checking out today, but other things from other worlds. If you cannot download an entire save file for some reason, you can always just go to the gallery and pick and choose from my catalog. I also have bonus sims on here, which are sims that are not included in the save, but you might want for storytelling purposes. Now on to the last community space for Hercules. I'm not going to be going there in live mode. We'll just pop in build mode really quick. So just for reference, we have Hercules Mansion. We have Mount Olympus here in the center. Over here is 0 to Hero on the far right. This is It's Okay, You're in Love, and this is also where you can place that second lot replacement for the Elysian Fields. And then lastly, to close out Hercules today, we have the final build called the Gospel Truth. It is an arts center, and it's based on the Muses. In my save file, they're like the gods of the arts. So they're all specifically interested in like one aspect of art, whether that be dancing, physical art, whatever you want to interpret that as. Some of them are even like kind of about astrology, astronomy, Renaissance books, history, things like that. So I wanted to do an art center because it just makes the most sense for the characters, given the nature of them. So the exterior of this is actually based on the Temple of Zeus that is shown in Hercules. It's kind of a mismatch of ideas. I wasn't going to be able to recreate his giant statue in the middle, and I knew that, so I wanted to like use this building but have a different purpose for it. And this is how I'm doing it. You can come here and paint. You can come here and play the piano, sing, dance. It has a bar. That is one of the required objects for the lot type. It's kind of simple and clean. It lacks greenery the way that like the garden does, but I think it's still really nice. And then the basement floor has more options for like things to do. So you've got like the murals on the walls, the murals on the floors, woodworking. There's also karaoke here, giving reference to the muses yet again. Bathroom, which you need. Reading, books. You can come here to study. It's just a beautiful little community space that's meant to be for all Sims to come and learn new arts, study, have a place to go that's like very much community vibes. And then I get to do like a more basic Greek architecture style building. Just so you can check out some of the muses since they didn't pop up when we went to go visit the other households. They are in the save. Here are the 5 of them. They're really pretty. I spent a lot of time on their dresses and picking out ones that kind of like coordinate together but aren't too matchy-matchy. That is it for Hercules. We do have his parents also floating around in the save. You could move them in with the main Hercules household if you wanted to make it a little bit bigger. Next on the list, what we'll be going to do is down here in the lower part of the village where it's like the main town area off the coast. This is all Luca themed. So we have 1 residential here, and then we have 2 community lots that are based on Luca. One is a restaurant, one is a generic. We'll start out first, of course, with the household, our main Luca household here. We have Giulia. She lives with her father, Massimo. And then Luca and Alberto move in with them kind of temporarily over the summer. So I have them kind of in the middle of their story when it comes to that. They have a cat named Machiavelli. And Luca and Alberto are mermaids. Here we have the Luca household. This is a really big build, and I ultimately decided to do it this way because the idea is that this build would eventually become a residential rental, the new lot type that has been added with The Sims 4 Rent. I own The Sims 4 Rent, but I am not putting it in the save yet, or at least like this lot type into the save yet, because there's been too many issues with it, and I feel a little bit nervous about corrupting the save, so I'm just not implementing them quite yet, but the idea is that this would eventually be a residential rental, and so that these other buildings here are all pre-designed apartments for that type of lifestyle. There are so many apartments here. I'm not going to go over all of them, but it's set up, I think, to be 6 additional apartments with various living ideas, whether that be single or family homes. This one on the bottom floor has a little cafe, a little Italian cafe, so you could run like an out-of-home business kind of vibes. I actually have the downstairs doors of these buildings locked so that your Sims do not go over there, because they're really just supposed to be in this household here, which is big on its own and has a ton going on. Now, Luca and Alberto are staying here sort of like, not technically permanently, but by the end of their movie, it's somewhat permanent. And so they don't have a bedroom. They live in the treehouse outside of Giulia's bedroom. So I put this treehouse out here, and they do both sleep in there, and it works just perfectly fine for the 2 of them. The other characters do have bedrooms. We have Giulia's room over here. The messy chaos that it is, very much based on the film. I tried to replicate as many details as possible and put little things in here about her that make sense for her character. She likes astronomy, she likes fishing, she's a little bit more sporty and messy and chaotic, so I kind of wanted to put that into her space. The kitchen is like pretty much a 1-for-1 recreation from the movie. All of the details that I could possibly get are in here. I love this kitchen. It's so lived in. It's got like family vibes. And then Massimo actually lives in like the attic space up here that's been repurposed into a bedroom. This isn't shown to necessarily be true according to the movie, but there was some art that I had seen, like official Disney art, that implied this could possibly be where his bedroom is. And it's sort of how it worked out layout wise. The bottom floor is an absolutely huge fish shop that the father runs. This is how he makes his livelihood. He goes out every morning and catches fresh fish and comes and sells them here at his little shop. He is in the fishing career, so that's what he goes and does. And so it's set up to be like kind of like a store. There's actually quite a bit to do on this lot. There's like lots of little places to come out and sit around and eat. It's supposed to feel like a part of the community, so I wanted you to be able to come outside, like maybe see some community members walking by or people walking around and have a chat with them while they are outside around your home. It's supposed to feel like a sliver of like a larger part of the community. So there's lots of community-based ideas around the lot, and it's right up against the waterline and the coast, where you could come and do some fishing and some swimming, particularly for our two mermaids here that definitely will want access to the water. Actually, I don't think they can get to this one, but I know they can get to, where is it? Oh, this one over here. So I'll have our two mermaids come out so you can see that version of them. So obviously they have their regular swimwear, but then they can turn into mermaids. And it's going to be hard to track them, to be honest with you. I'm always struggling with this because they kind of swim around pretty quickly. But they're based on the movie, like they're meant to look a little bit more like sea creatures. They've got the jagged teeth, the weird glowing eyes. Here they are. Two cuties. Love them. Love how they turned out. All of the, like, Pixar characters translate really, really well to The Sims. The art style just calls for it, so they all look really spot on. Machiavelli here, the little cat of the household. He's a total menace. Runs around, causes chaos. Julia's a little bit more neutral in between, but she's still very headstrong as well, so she's got a lot going on. They're all in school. There's no way to kind of like opt out of that, even if it's summer. Like, I wish there was like a summer break option. Maybe there is, and I just don't know about it. Someone definitely let me know. And then for this household, we also do have another movie club. We have the Luca movie club with Luca, Giulio, Massimo, Alberto. We have Hercule, who is like the town bully and the antagonist of the film. And then Daniela and Lorenzo are Luca's technical parents. And if you pop over to Luca's genealogy real quick, you'll see that he is actually related to them. They are townies. They do not live here. It is meant to play out the story like kind of the way that it is in the film, so they just don't all live together. That's kind of all I have to say about that lot. We'll go over and check out the two Luca builds really quick, the community ones. I'll check out the one down here first. This is called Latteria San Giorgito, and it is a restaurant based on Luca. It's also kind of like beach vibes. I wanted a little beach area, and one thing that I didn't really get to do in Sulani, even though it is like our big beach world, there were so many great ideas for Disney and Sulani, so I didn't have any lot space available to do like a proper beach where you just sit and lounge and there's umbrellas and chairs. So I wanted to use up this space here to make like a really small Italian cafe, restaurant, eatery vibe, like another section of the village, and then also have an area where you can sit and lounge by the beach. So there's a combination of both of those, but the big theming for Luca, this is actually like a building that is a recreation of the town. So in the background of the town where you're seeing them walk around, this is behind them, and when they go to get gelato, this store in the middle here is where they get their gelato from. So this place was originally just gonna be for gelato, but how could you ignore doing like Italian and doing pizza? So I got the new Chef Home Hustle stuff pack, and I had to do a little pizza place. So this place effectively runs as a pizza joint and a gelato shop. Just to check out the menu here, we've got some wine and things, some nectar, of course, and then some pizza options for the pizza side of the restaurant, and then gelato options for the other side. I snuck a cannoli in there because they're my favorite. The idea of this is actually really cool. So basically, the chefs are designed after the pizza shop because the chef station is over here, and the waiters and hostesses are dressed based on the gelato place because that is where their two stands are located. So each of the coordinated outfit options will only really work inside of the spaces that make sense for like their given restaurant. So it kind of feels like two restaurants, even though it is one, and all of the seating is outdoors, so it doesn't really matter, but you could come up and say, I want to get gelato, and you would sit in like the pink chairs for the gelato place, or I'm gonna have some pizza, and so you would sit over here where it's like very clearly indicated to be more for the pizza place. So it is one restaurant, but it feels like two, which is really nice. Or you can go sit on the beach with your gelato if you would like. Love how this interior turned out. I made a little like gelato scooping window when you go in to like pick out your flavor, and the pizza place is just perfect, kind of hole in the wall, very small, get a slice and go kind of idea. The upstairs is designed to be someone's house or apartment. We don't have dual lot typing, but I hate leaving places like this blank, and someone would live here. Like, it's very likely that you would run the shop and you would live above it. It's just kind of how it goes for the vibes of Luca. So I designed it like a little house for quite a few Sims could live here, but ultimately it's not functional. The door to get here is actually a window just so that your Sims don't go up there when they are coming to the restaurant, because I found that that created a lot of chaos, but you can replace it if you wanted it to be more functional for whatever your purposes are. Moving on to our final Luca lot. Over here on the far left, on this little island off of the bridge, we have old Porto Roso Tower. This is technically where Alberto lives in the movie, but I designed this as like a community space that's specifically more for teen Sims. I wanted a place for them to come and hang out. Maybe it's like an old lighthouse, that's how it's described in the wiki, that kind of is in shambles, and the local teens of the area have taken it over to use as a club hangout. Or if you really wanted to go for the whole story, you could have Alberto move in here and live here by himself since he is a teen in the save. This is the functional tower space. You could pretty much live here, I think, with the exception of possibly like a bathroom that could easily be fixed with a bush. There's the scenes where they spend a lot of time up top and they watch the stars and sit by the fire. I also popped in some little mini fridges and things, so if you spend a lot of time here or like a bed to sleep in, you could like get away with being here for multiple days. And then we have the main area that is referenced most in the film, if I can get in here to kind of show you guys. This is the chaos and clutter and all the nautical items, but mostly it's just like lots of activities for teens to do. There is little games for them to play, there's marbles, there is the computer that it's like the typewriter so it's not so modern looking, there's lots of books to read, there's little bracelets that you can make, there's a woodworking table so that they can make their Vespa. They do a lot of like woodworking to try and recreate like a Vespa that they can ride. That's what they spend the majority of their time doing. And then something that's not shown in the movie but I added in is like more of this abandoned, broken aspect. So one of the floors is kind of broken with a hole in the floor and some random furniture that's broken around. And then there's access to the bottom floor down here. There's also a swing set. Just lots of stuff to do where you could come sit down here, play more games, listen to music, sit and chat, paint something. I don't know. I just wanted to throw in some activities here for them. There's also a bike. One of the closest ones that I could find is like something that resembles a Vespa since it's so important to the movie, but we don't have those. I can add in like a little bike for them to ride around on. And so it's, yeah, it's like a club hangout. It's meant to be like a teen space, but it's hidden. It's in an abandoned aspect, so the other adult Sims would never find it, would never go there. And that is actually it for Luca. Just real quick, I'll show you guys the townies that go along, although they've already been mentioned. We have Luca's parents. They are both mermaids, and you'll see them around because they're going to stalk Luca and look for him and try to bring him back home. And then we have the town bully, Hercules. He's a menace. He is so spot on from the film, and he's really, really weird, so love him for that. Finally, last but not least, our big last build of today's tour, we have Atlantis up in the top, kind of hidden here. There are 3 Sims that live here. You can mix and match from a lot of characters because I have created a lot of them in the Townie household. I'll show you guys here in a second. But Kita and Milo and her father, the king, actually live here right now because they're kind of like technically the characters that live in Atlantis. But the rest of them are here. They're called the Ulysses crew. They're just a Townie household. We have Audrey, we have Helga, we have Lyle Rourke, we have Mole. They're all very intricately designed and I love them as well. So they are definitely like characters that you could run into in the save. In fact, I don't know if you noticed, but Helga walked by earlier in one of the community lots that we were on. Here we have Atlantis. This is supposed to be like a mini castle, like the tippy top version of Atlantis. It's definitely not a full recreation. That is an absolutely massive build that even if I had like the biggest lot for, wouldn't have happened. But this is like the royal estate. It's got ruin vibes. It's got jungle adventure vibes. There's lots of free flowing water. There's lots of greenery decor and like handmade furniture. But there's also like a modern aspect to it. Like we've got some glowing cubes for lights, and we also have waterfalls and things like sort of inside. A little bit more of a modern kitchen, lots of pools, things like that. This was a huge struggle for me to furnish. I really wasn't sure what direction to go in, but I think that ultimately it ended up turning out okay. They use portals to get around in this build, kind of like how on Mount Olympus. I think that that makes sense with like the technology aspect. It would be something that they would very much figure out if anybody. Milo and Kita are newly, like, kind of getting together. They're just barely romancing. I don't even believe that they're technically boyfriend and girlfriend just yet. So I wanted people to be able to play out their romance because I think it's just one that's really fun. They're just starting out and you can do with that what you will. There is actually a basement floor. If you go around here, you'll see a portal, and this portal leads to the basement, and it is based on the scene where she finds the heart of Atlantis, and there's like the pool that she goes into and everything. So there's a bigger, like more functional pool down here. But if you wanted just like a quick dip, there's lots of pools around the lot. There's one on the back here that's not really made for swimming, but Kita decided that it was. And then there's one over here that they do like to use. I wanted you guys to be able to see them real quick. They're wearing their swimwear, so we'll change them really quick. But a lot of today's characters have been swimming when we go to the lot, so I just wanted you to see how they're intended to look. And I wanted to play this out like it's a mystery that's solvable. So this is a very private lot, but you could have Sims come here and discover it. You could try to fix it up so that it is more modern, more technology driven, maybe delete some of the things that make it look like it's a little bit more in shambles. And to show their bedrooms off, this is Milo and Kita's on the top floor. You also access this from a portal, getting right into their bedroom here. Milo has his own little tower where he can do some reading, some archaeology, some gemology. They also have the gem charging stations around, so the idea is that the build in Atlantis is charged by these or powered by these. So there's a few of them around. There's one there and there's one in the king's room that you can play with. This is his space, a little bit bigger, and off to the outside is his throne room up here. Not too much else to say about this household, although there's a lot that you could do. That is it for Atlantis. And that is actually all for today's tour video, everything in Tartosa. Again, the Disney save is available for download on Patreon, but you do not have to be a patron. Go to the link in my description box down below to check it out and get linked right over to that. You'll get this world and all of the other worlds that I have done so far. Lots and lots of Sims. The next world for the Disney save that I'm going to be working on is Oasis Springs, and it is going to include movies such as Aladdin. So if you want to see more Disney content and more things to come, lots and lots of new characters, and I'm adding in, I think, 5 or 6 new movies to the save file with that world. Please subscribe and stay tuned and check out all of the future things to come. I do speed builds based on all of the builds. I do creative Sims for the characters, and there's tons and tons of stuff to watch if you would like more stuff. If you'd like to support all of my work over on Patreon, that is also linked in my description box down below and will be linked at the end of today's video, or to become a part of the process so you can help plan and work on the save. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will talk to you all in the next one.